violence would be involved.
President Biden is here in Southern California tonight for a fundraising blitz in his bid for a second term at the White House.
Breaking. The LAPD rushed to the scene ahead of escalating violence happening outside the star-studded event, a gala of elbow rubbing amongst the elite.
The president is rubbing elbows with the biggest names in Hollywood.
Steven Spielberg, Rob Reiner, Governor Newsom all attending tonight as they arrived at this private residence in Holmby Hills.
But also drawing anger from pro-Palestinian protesters.
They encountered a large group of protesters.
Where outside and behind the gates stood thousands of protesters chanting and expressing their feelings against Biden and his continued support of genocide at the expense of U.S. American taxpayers funding this war.
And some of those protesters actually throwing glass bottles at the guest and at LAPD.
Warning, some of the footage that you may see from this event may be considered graphic and for mature audiences only. And I've tried to make sure that this is suitable for all ages. So have a look here and see.
Agitated and angry pro-Palestinian protesters sending a message to President Biden, many upset that the U.S. is sending aid to Israel.
Genocide Joe has got to go. Hey.
President Biden was just in town and narrowly escaped Los Angeles, protected by the Secret Service and the LA Police Department. Video footage captured where police say protesters were actually throwing glass bottles at the guests and the LAPD. Protesters described as agitated and angry. These pro-Palestinian protesters all wanting to send a message to President Biden, many of them upset that the U.S. is sending aid supporting the genocide in Gaza.
We want him to stop supporting the genocide in Gaza. We want him to stop sending our tax dollars to support the genocide.
And here, I want you to listen to what one of the protest organizers had to say before the police showed up.
I'm absolutely infuriated, and that's why I took part in organizing this demonstration today. I think it's important to channel that anger into something useful and productive and really makes a powerful message that LA will not stand for what Joe Biden is doing.
So apparently the president was in LA for a fundraiser where he was greeted by more than 1,000 pro-Palestinian protesters gathered at Holmby Park near the fundraiser, condemning U.S. funding of Israeli military strikes in Gaza, with one holding a sign that says, "No votes for mass murder." In the more affluent neighborhood of Westwood, where the median home price is something like over $1.9 million. And you can easily see and feel the frustrations of residents and citizens. But I hate to break it to you folks, and listening to the young lady speak and hearing her say, LA will not stand for what Joe Biden is supporting.
A powerful message that LA will not stand for what Joe Biden is doing.
Well, the honest truth is that this is the sad truth and grim reality of this country right now. This administration and its ancillary second string that's just awaiting to be called up to the big leagues to get their turn at bat. Because Gavin Newsom and, for the most part, a large percentage of California Democrats in office want to see more of this type of behavior, this spending and killing going on more and more if they are allowed to get their way. And if you attempt to buck their system, then, well, this is what happens. Here, have a look.
And some started throwing bottles at LAPD. LAPD Chief Michael Moore deployed hundreds of officers after increasing chatter in the days leading up to the president's visit.
Let's go! What have we done? What have we done?
Eventually, the LAPD declared an unlawful assembly and ordered the crowd to disperse and move them out of the area.
And they reportedly said that the protests got violent after sunset, and claim a few demonstrators tried to breach a fence near the event, and some started throwing bottles at LAPD. Police Chief Michael Moore didn't waste any time and deployed hundreds of officers after he said there was increasing chatter in the days leading up to the president's visit.
have been some social media posts asserting that the violence would be involved in these protests and demonstrations, and that we are very concerned about it. We recognize that today, and in the times that we're in, that there's a great deal of turmoil, and as we look across the country and the world, we have seen acts of violence, we have seen people injured. We want to avoid that, so we want to ensure that we had sufficient resources.
And so you see, this is the end result when expressing anger over U.S. aid supporting what they perceive as genocide in Gaza. The LAPD stepped in and declared the assembly unlawful, ordering the crowd to disperse, and was ready to move them away by any means and was willing to use force if necessary.
I can tell you my problems, meditating my silence, but I keep pushing my pen, rotating my stylus. Brokenness feeling like sin, now no breath, low dollar. Used to be left on red, now all the girls go holler. Now all the girls go follow, all the fake friends go pop.